Hi, my name is Hassan Parmar, and today we're going to go through a distributed Spectrum install. Now, for the actual process of the Spectrum install, in my instance, we're going to have two servers. We're going to have an MLS server on the left here, 253, and I'm going to have a DSS server, 254. So on the MLS server, we're going to do everything as we would for a standalone box. So I have got a script for all the kind of the prerequisite Yum installs. We're going to do like an SR admin, do it as a silent install. But the big thing here is we've got like our host information file, all of the parameters we're going to use to configure when we install it. And on this, you'll notice that I've got the remote host as the host. Because it's the MLS, this host name is going to match the MLS host name. And then we're going to do a one-click install. Now, on the DSS, we've got the host name of the DSS, but the main location server here is the MLS, the 253. We're also not going to install one-click here, and we're not going to install Tomcat or any of those web services. Outside of that, these parameters, the actual silent install process will be the same for the both. And then at the end, we'll kind of do a little bit of configuration to get everything else added. So I'm just going to go through here. You know, in limited time, I've already kind of moved things to a temp directory. So I'm going to do, and I've unzipped stuff, is I'm going to create a Spectrum, and I'm going to take my prerequisite script here, and I'm going to paste it in. And then we're going to do that, 755. We're going to make that as an executable. And then we're going to run it. And we'll let that go. Now we're going to do the exact same thing on the other side. Let me see, I'm in the temp directory. Now as that's running, I've already unzipped the file. So I'm going to go into the where to install SR admin. So if we look at the documentation, which I've kind of got here, we are going to go to temp SDIC Linux. So I've already got the temp directory. So I'm going to cd to Linux. And here I'm going to create the SR admin properties file. And then the properties are actually going to be right here. They're going to be pretty standalone. The big thing here that you want to keep in mind is where it's a silent install and what's the directory you're going to install it on. Let me do that on this side here. Now on this directory, you're going to go see the kind of the sr install.bin file. So we're going to run that sr install.bin -i and then silent. All right, so it looks like that completed. So now we've got that done. I'm going to go back into that temp directory. And then there should be an SDIC. And we can definitely see the install files here. So here we're going to create the server password file for each server, which I've actually already got here. So the format's going to be the server, the username, and kind of like the password. So I'm going to create that right here. And then I will do that same thing on the other side. All right, so now that we've got those done, we're going to definitely do that HII file. And then again, that's going to be right here. So I'm just going to cut and paste this. All right, that does look good. So on the other one, you can definitely see here, I've got 254, change the landscape handle to 2, the MLS servers here, and one-click install no. So now that we've got both of those ready to go, create an add user, and it's a Spectrum. So in our instance, we can have root owning the files directory system. So we're going to add the user Spectrum. And now we can just kind of run a quick test to see how that works. which is what I'm going to do here. Copy that command. And let's see how it looks. And if I make any mistakes, it'll kind of time out here. Looks like I had a little error there, so I'm going to kind of see what happens. There we go. Once we made that correction on that Spectrum user, you can definitely see this works. Now let's do the install, and we'll kind of take out the test. Once I accept the license agreement, we are good to go. So I started the install, and this install is still running. Just kind of want to go through some of the things for just the installs. And when you see it running like this, it will run. The installation's completed. You'll notice on the DSS, we've got this, the install was successful, but here on the MLS, we actually have the URL here in place. So there's one more thing that we need to do is we need to connect these to the file and install. We're going to go into the root directory. And if we do an ls-la here, we'll see some files. Now you'll see this .host.rc file. This is the file that we're going to modify, where we're going to add the other server. So we definitely see we've got the 253. We are going to add the other server in here. And then on the DSS, we're going to do the exact same thing. So on the DSS, I'm going to quickly just look at the host.rc file, the host.rc file, just to verify that I have both the MLS and the DSS server on there. Once I've completed that, I'm going to go back over to the MLS and I'm going to restart services. Now, one thing I'm going to call out is you need to log on as the Spectrum user. And then with that, you can start Spectrum. And then as that's starting up, I'm going to quickly grab the URL, which I'll need to paste in just a sec here. And then as that's running, I'm going to go over to the DSS and I'm going to start services on there. Now that that is started, I can open up a web browser and cut and paste that Spectrum URL, which I just used. Now the initial login will be what we set here. During our install, we called it Spectrum. And we could see our login is successful. So we're going to go to our one-click web app. And then here in the one app, you can definitely see we've got the MLS and we have the DSS and have completed a successful distributed install.